Welcome back to the Jazz Pursuit. In this video, we're going to learn the standard There Is No Greater Love. There Is No Greater Love was written by Isham Jones in 1936. Isham Jones was a composer and band leader, and his orchestra was one of the leading dance bands of the 1920s and 30s. There Is No Greater Love was the final hit for Jones with his orchestra, before he stood down and handed over the baton to band member Woody Herman. Through this video, we're going to break down the harmony and melody in There Is No Greater Love, hopefully making it easier to learn and remember. Make sure you like and subscribe, and check out the description below for links to a free lead sheet, the PDF handout, and the Harmony Toolbox and Improvisation 101 courses. Right, let's get started. So, first off, let's take a look at the key bits of information. There Is No Greater Love can be played as a ballad or as a medium swinger. The time signature is 4/4 and it's usually played in the key of B flat major. The form is 32 bars, which is organised into an A-A-B-A structure, where each section lasts for 8 bars. First, we have the A section, which is then repeated, before we move on to the B section, and then end with a final A section. So that's the key bits of information. Now, let's dive in and take a look at the A section harmony. The A section harmony is based on a common progression, a 1-4, 3-6, 2-5-1. That's quite a lot to take on in one go, so let's break it in half and start with the 1-4-3-6. Remember, when we refer to chords as numbers, this means they're built using only the notes of the home key, so in this case, B flat major. Chord 1 is B flat major 7. Chord 4 is E flat major 7, chord 3 is D minor 7, and chord 6 is G minor 7. Then the A section is finished off with a 2-5-1. C minor 7 is chord 2, F7 is chord 5, and B flat major 7 is chord 1. Here's how the 1-4-3-6-2-5-1 looks on the piano. There Is No Greater Love was written in 1936, and you'll find that older standards often preferred dominant chords to chords of the key. And this is exactly the case here in the A section. Every chord, apart from chord 1, is tweaked to a dominant 7. So from chord 1, B flat major 7, we move to dominant chord 4, E flat 7, to dominant chord 3, D7, to dominant chord 6, G7, to dominant chord 2, C7, to chord 5, which is already dominant, F7, to chord 1, B flat major 7. Now, before we look at the melody, we first need to sort out the A section endings. There Is No Greater Love has an A-A-B-A form. Therefore, there are two different endings for the A section. The first time ending, which resolves back to the start of the A section, and the second time ending that leads on to the B section. In the first time ending, we need to create some momentum into the second A section. And to do this, we elongate the 2-5, so that both chords last for 2 bars. We have 2 bars of dominant chord 2, C7, then 2 bars of chord 5, F7, which resolves to chord 1, B flat major 7, in the first bar of the second A section. In the second time ending, the harmony does the opposite. Rather than opening up, it closes down and consolidates the section before we move on to the new B section. It starts on dominant chord 2, C7, which then turns minor to regular chord 2, C minor 7. This is then the starting point of a quick 2-5-1 home. C minor 7 is chord 2, F7 is chord 5, and B flat major 7 is chord 1. So that's the entirety of the A section harmony. Now let's hear it on the piano. The A section melody is made up of 4 phrases. Phrase 1 begins with a pickup and a scale note turn around the root B flat. It starts on the 7th A, then rises to the root B flat, the 2nd C, before turning around and falling back to the root B flat. Then the phrase ends by walking down through the B flat major scale to the 6th G. The next 3 phrases all have a target note, and in each phrase we use a chromatic approach from a tone above to get there. In phrase 2, the target note is the root of the E flat 7 chord, E flat. The phrase begins a semitone below, on D. Then it chromatically approaches the target, E flat, from a tone above. So it lands on F and then falls chromatically to the target E flat. The phrase is finished off by falling to the 5th B flat, before rising to the root of the D7 chord, D. In phrase 3, the target note is the 5th of the C7 chord, G. The phrase begins on the 5th of the G7 chord, D. Then, it chromatically approaches the G from a tone above. It lands on A, and then falls chromatically to the target G. Phrase 4 is a sequence of phrase 3, and here the target note is the 5th of the F7 chord C. The phrase begins on the 5th of the C7 chord G, before then chromatically approaching the target note C from a tone above. The phrase lands on D, and then falls chromatically to the target C. The first A section is then finished off with the pickup for phrase 1. Here's the first A section in time. In the second A section, we have a slightly different ending. The first 3 phrases are identical, but at the end of the third phrase, the melody doesn't wait around. Rather than sitting on the 5th of the C7 chord G for a bar, in the second ending, this note lasts for just 1 beat. Then, phrase 4 begins straight away. It repeats the 5th G before reinforcing the key by walking down through the B-flat major scale from the 3rd D to the root B-flat. The phrase then ends by alternating the root and 2nd of the key, B-flat and C. Here's the second A section in time. The B section harmony contrasts the A section, as rather than moving through lots of different chords, it's instead centred around one harmonic landing point, the relative minor. Remember, the relative minor is chord 6 of the key, which in this case is G minor 7. The B section doesn't waste any time, and it kicks off with a 2-5-1 to the relative minor, chord 6, G minor 7. As the 1 chord of the cadence is minor, this means it's a minor 2-5-1. A half diminished is chord 2, D7 flat 9 is chord 5, and G minor 7 is chord 1. Next, this same minor 2-5-1 is repeated twice more. A half diminished to D7 flat 9 to G minor 7. Now, we're 2 bars away from the end of the B section, and we need to move towards chord 1 B flat major 7, ready for the final A section. The harmony does this through a 2-5-1. Like in the A section, chord 2 is tweaked to a dominant, C7, chord 5 is F7, and chord 1 is B flat major 7, in bar 1 of the final A section. Here's the B section harmony in time. The B section melody reinforces the harmony, and it consists of 3 phrases, all of which have a similar structure. Each phrase begins by outlining the 5 chord from the 2-5-1, D7 flat 9, before then resolving to a chord tone from the 1 chord, G minor 7. Phrase 1 begins by rising through the chord tones of the D7 flat 9 chord. It starts on the root D, then rises to the 3rd F sharp, 5th A, and 7th C. Then it resolves down to the 3rd of the G minor 7 chord, B flat. Phrase 2 then develops this idea, but rather than starting on the root of the D7 flat 9 chord, this time it starts on the 3rd. So from the 3rd F sharp, it rises through the chord tones to the 5th A, 7th C, and then flat 9 E flat. This time the phrase resolves to the 5th of the G minor 7 chord, D. At this point we've had 2 short phrases, and next Isham-Jones contrasts this with a longer 3rd phrase. Phrase 3 is an extension of phrase 1. It begins on the root of the D7 flat 9 chord, D, and then rises through the chord tones to the 3rd F sharp, 5th A, and 7th C. Then, rather than landing on a chord tone from the G minor 7 chord, it walks down through G Dorian, from the 3rd B flat to the root G. The phrase then falls to the 5th D, before ending on the root of the C7 chord, C. There Is No Greater Love is finished off with a final A section, which is identical to the earlier second A section. One final thing to leave you with is a common harmonic substitution in the A section. In bar 3 we currently have dominant chord 3, D7, but here it's pretty common to play the tritone substitute. A tritone substitution is driven by the bass, as the bass note moves a tritone, which is an interval made up of 3 tones, to the new chord. So here, a tritone, or 3 tones away from D, is A flat. So A flat 7 is a tritone substitute for D7. This works as both chords share the same third and 7. In D7, the third is F sharp, and the 7th is C. And in A flat 7, the third is C, and the 7th is G flat, which is the same as F sharp. The tritone substitute A flat 7 works well in the A section, as it continues the cycle of fourths theme, from B flat major 7 to E flat 7 to A flat 7, and then it falls a semitone to chord 6 G7. Be careful though, the melody in this bar is a D, which is the sharp 11 of the chord, so make sure that's in your voicing. Here's the A section with the tritone substitution. So that's There Is No Greater Love, and I hope you've enjoyed this video and found it helpful. Make sure you check out the description below, where you'll find the free lead sheet, lesson notes PDF which includes my arrangement, and links to the Harmony Toolbox and Improvisation 101 courses. Happy practicing!